Okay, what was I thinking? What was garbage can? I'd like to do a nice little teaser on my next video. What is garbage? What are garbage cans? No. Never know what's going to happen next. So, what was Jesus? Again, my own personal view is, let's say evolving. Anytime I talk about Jesus or any prophet, any historical figure, any religious figure, I'm going to basically say, yeah, I don't even know if that guy was around because the legend is too large, basically. Because religious figures are, especially the central religious figure that tends to be like given divine powers. Unless they're a prophet, like they're just like, oh, the guy was so great and he did all these things. If they're given divine powers, it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. So the guy in your religious story was Superman. Okay, well, we don't see any of those kinds of things around today. They're not. I mean, like, there's no X-Men around. Like, do we see Wolverine like people? Are they people casting spells to save, hurricane and tornado victims? No. So, sorry, not happening. No sale. Not buying it. It's like faith healers. It's like, yeah, that's. Oh, he healed me. It's like, yeah, they healed you, and then it came back. So, generally with healings. Anyways, I'm off topic again because whatever. So I think we've covered the why. Like historical figures: Julius Caesar, Alexander the Great, Abe Lincoln, Isaac Newton. These people are ironclad because they're not religious people, because they're not given supernatural abilities. And like religious prophets, I believe Mohammed was a person because he didn't turn water into wine or walk on water. And and Moses, I tend to believe he was a person, even though like he parted the Red Sea. I just believe he didn't part the Red Sea. I believe the guy existed. I just like all that bullshit about him performing miracles. I don't think he did. If the Red Sea parted, there was an earthquake. And he was just like there at the right time. So, yeah. That's all. That's going to be where I am. And that's the kind of, if anybody's going to watch the video and stuff, you just got to be like, okay, watch the video and take everything from that point of view. That being said, here we go. Here we go. This in the head. So what was Jesus? Again, assuming the person of legend, the mythical man of legend existed. Well, first of all, again, probably a guy ahead of his time. or one of the guys ahead of his time. Oh my God, my elbow armpits are freaking, forgive the close up here, they're just like damp and stuff. One of the guys ahead of their time, probably the most famous around then, but you know, getting pissed off and speaking up about wealth and income inequality and seeing all the bullshit and like, this is not cool, dude. Like, man, all these rich dudes being like totally like unfair, and this is like all this war and shit. Like, I don't know, man, this is like not right. All the oligarchy are taking all the health care. Yeah, he's a hippie Bernie. So, yeah. Yeah. And also, I was thinking, maybe just as a sidetrack, even though I just posted that other video the other day, maybe Jesus was a time traveler. Maybe Jesus and a good portion of his followers and stuff, maybe they were all time travelers, stuck in time. They couldn't get back. And they were constantly like, Jesus, I don't know, man, maybe we shouldn't do this. The temporal prime directive forbids us from interfering. Like, yeah, well, I know, but like, dude, he's sick. Like, I mean, if we can't even help just one person, he's on the side of the road, no one is looking, all right, we'll heal him. Fine, Jesus, fine, whatever. Look, someone's drowning in the river. All right, fine, give me him. He puts on his things, his sandals, and he walks in the water on top of him, on top of the water, and reaches down in there and grabs him up, grabs the little kid, puts on the shoulder and walks him, lays him down. And they think nobody sees him, but somebody's behind a rock or in the bushes or something, and they see him. And all of a sudden he's walking on water. This tech that is from 2,000 plus years ago. Jesus, the time traveler and friends. Stranded back in post-classical Europe, post-classical Middle East. Anyways. They could not help themselves doing all this, and then finally it just did the self-fulfilling thing. Yeah, anyways. But another note, I think throughout humanity's history also, Uh, we've also had a lot of, how to put this, had a lot of questions about a lot of stuff, and just never had answers. Anything, and death is a big one. Death and after death. I mean, because we, I mean, before life too. Where were we before we, you know, before we had our first memories as a kid? Some people claim they have memories of being in the womb. Most people's first memories are, I mean, my first memories are essentially when I was like, I think it's like 2 years old, something like that. I have a bad memory, but it's, I don't know. My earliest memories are before I started having seizures, so yeah. I think that's around when most people's first memories are, when they're around 2 years old. But yeah, humanity is, so, like I said, we had God, God and monsters and minotaurs and hydras and stuff. And then we have what? Aliens and robots, and now we have now we have AI. So there's always something to fear and respect. There's always that. There's always forms of existential threat and worry. I don't know where I'm going with that part, but like I said, there's always questions that you have. But so humanity was starting out right, and we have the shamanistic druidic thing going on there, the totemic religions, the ones that didn't have really personage gods, but they were kind of natural elementalist religions. That's kind of where they started worship the sky and the ground and that sort of thing. Those are kind of the most primalistic religions. Yeah. I don't know. I'm trying to structure the thought the way I had it, but essentially the thing I'm saying is the language and the technology, our collective language and technology as it has evolved has and gotten more sophisticated has revealed to us collectively that maybe the the old questions, the first questions, and the first questions are still relevant, but the first answers were, it was like the first scientific answer. It was like, all right, the first question is still relevant. With the tools that we have at this time, the best answer is this, all right? Today we, like 10,000 years, 2,000 years go by. Now we have a better answer, right? It takes the shape of a different God, but it's still a God. Another few thousand years go by. It takes the shape of a different God. It's still a God. You repeat the process. The God gets more and more refined, but it's still a God, right? Renaissance happens. They develop a key piece of instrumentation, telescope and microscope. That blows the shit off of fucking everything. All right. And then after that, there's like coal is discovered and there's this whole industrial garbage that it's just like boom, science is fucking all over. And fast forward basically to here. Now that old question, and especially that old set of questions, is still relevant. We're still plagued by that old set of questions. It's just the people that want that first set of answers, they're still here. It's just that we got people that are like, wait, we got this set of tools that we've developed in the last 150, 40, 30, 20, 10 years to attempt to answer that first set of questions. So we're going to try and do it. And we've come up with these new answers that use this new set of language. And the people that are using that old set of answers are fighting. It's colliding. These two things are colliding. And it's this post-prehistoric and this almost postmodern, this just barely postmodern. We're getting to postmodern. And it's these two worlds that are colliding. And it's kind of like a more dangerous world. Well, I don't know more dangerous, but it's a dangerous and interesting world to live in because of that. And it's that collision that is starting to produce people in leaders and populations like Donald Trump and the MAGA movement. It's that kind of thing. That's what's happening because of that. And all this tech and this dejobulation. That's causing all this shit. It's not the dejobulation itself. It's all the runoff effects of the dejobulation, the people not knowing, like, what the fuck am I going to do? And the ones who benefit from the dejobulation, from the effects of the dejobulation, the benefits of the dejobulation, this small group of people that benefit from it and the large population that doesn't benefit from it. And then that collision. So we got all these collisions happening, and then we get the again it presents as kind of a modern solution and a archaic solution. The liberal modern solution, I would argue, is the tax them, and the archaic solution is, well, kill them or deport. Go back to war, which is what they did back then. Fight, kill, survive. And the liberal solution is tending to be, don't do that. So don't do that is, well, we understand and like money, okay. Spread money around, okay. To do that, you tax, okay. And tax, well, you can't tax poor because poor people are poor, so you got to tax rich, okay, logical. And tax rich, okay, and then you do stuff with that, spend it, okay, it's a logical sequence, which is the modern way of thinking. Use logic, but the other side wants to do not logic because, yeah. So I mean, it's that divergence of thinking that you do, and that's why. There you go. So. And again, the clash of, I would argue pre-Bronze Age, post-Stone Age and pre-Bronze Age, and and nearing basically post-modern age. Post-information age stuff. Because we're going into something that is entering an age and era that doesn't really have a name yet, because we don't really collectively know what to call this. You don't really know what to call the Renaissance while you're in the Renaissance. Yeah. So again, what was Jesus? Dangerous. So dangerous. Whole entire unit is dangerous. That's for sure. All right. Hope you like my boobies. Boobies.